Welcome to RECAPLY X, your movie recap in a flash. We bring the drama, the action, and the twists in minutes. The events of our film today begin in Iceland in the year 895 with the young prince Amleth, who is wandering around his kingdom, waiting for his father, King Arvandil, to return from war. Amleth is overjoyed when he sees his father and his soldiers entering the kingdom and runs to inform his mother, Queen Gudrun. However, Gudrun is upset that Amleth enters without permission and scolds him. A servant arrives to inform Gudrun that the king has indeed arrived and asks her to go out to welcome him. Gudrun calms down, takes Amleth, and goes out to greet him. Everyone, including the guards, is waiting to celebrate the great victory they achieved. Arvandil returns with a large number of prisoners who are taken to the dungeon. Gudrun and Amleth go to greet Arvandil, who is delighted to see his son. Gudrun is surprised that the king's younger brother, Fjolnir, has not yet arrived to welcome the king. Arvandil reassures her, saying that Fjolnir will arrive soon. Arvandil presents a golden necklace to Amleth as a gift. At the same time, Fjolnir arrives and greets his brother, congratulating him on the victory. Gudrun offers her special cup to Fjolnir to drink with Arvandil. However, one of the king's friends, named Heimir, speaks rudely, angering Fjolnir. Arvandil intervenes, calming Fjolnir and asking him to ignore Heimir's words. Fjolnir then introduces his son to everyone, and they all raise their cups in celebration. After the celebration, Arvandil speaks with Gudrun, informing her that he intends to crown Amleth as king after him because he was gravely injured in the war and may die soon. He wants Amleth to take over the throne after his death. However, Gudrun refuses, arguing that Amleth is too young to rule and urging Arvandil to reconsider. Arvandil remains adamant, stating that his own father became king at a similar age. Gudrun expresses her concern that Amleth would be in danger, as Fjolnir would have to die first for him to ascend the throne. Arvandil then takes Amleth to a sacred place to perform the rituals for his succession. Arvandil places his crown on Amleth's head and instructs him to mimic his every move without fear. Amleth follows his father's instructions to complete the ritual. During the ceremony, Amleth touches his father's blood and envisions their family tree. After completing the ritual, Amleth is overjoyed, but suddenly arrows are fired at Arvandil. He is struck by several arrows and falls to the ground. The guards surround Amleth, and Arvandil orders him to flee. Amleth watches from a distance as Fjolnir reveals himself as the one behind the attack, seeking to take the throne from Arvandil. It is revealed that Fjolnir is Arvandil's illegitimate brother. Fjolnir raises his sword and kills Arvandil, despite Arvandil warning him that this act will haunt him forever. Amleth is devastated by his father's death. Fjolnir declares himself king and orders his men to hunt down and kill Amleth. Terrified, Amleth runs away and hides, but one of Fjolnir's men finds him and is about to kill him. Amleth manages to cut off part of the man's nose with a knife and escapes. He is horrified to see his kingdom destroyed by Fjolnir and his men. Disguising himself to avoid recognition, Amleth witnesses Fjolnir kidnapping his mother, but is unable to intervene. Meanwhile, the man whose nose Amleth cut off tells Fjolnir that Amleth drowned at sea. Amleth finds a small boat on the shore and uses it to escape the kingdom. He cries and vows to return one day to avenge his father. Years later, Amleth has grown into a strong young man living among the Russians. We learn that the Russian found him as a child, cared for him, and raised him as one of their own. Amleth participates in battles and proves himself to be a skilled and fearless warrior, capable of defeating anyone who stands in his way. During a raid, the Russian capture a large number of prisoners to sell as slaves. Amleth hears a strange voice coming from a burned hut and finds a blind woman inside. She tells him that his uncle Fjolnir took her sight. Amleth is shocked by her knowledge of his life. She reminds him of the vow he made to avenge his father and tells him that the time has come to fulfill it. She also informs him of a specific sword he must use to kill Fjolnir and warns him not to run from his destiny. The woman then disappears. The next day, Amleth overhears guards discussing a group of strong prisoners being sent to Fjolnir. He confirms that Fjolnir is indeed his uncle and learns that Fjolnir and his family fled to a remote area after losing their kingdom to the King of Norway. Amleth sees a vision of his father's spirit, which he interprets as another sign to act. Determined, Amleth cuts his hair, burns himself to appear as a slave, and removes his father's necklace to avoid recognition. He swims to the ship carrying the prisoners and blends in with them. A young woman named Olga notices him but remains silent to avoid causing trouble. At night, Olga speaks to Amleth, revealing that she recognized him immediately. During a storm at sea, many prisoners drown, but Amleth and Olga survive. Amleth dreams of his childhood and sees Olga crowned as queen. They eventually reach the shore after a difficult journey. The guards treat the prisoners harshly, and Amleth helps Olga when she stumbles. Amleth is shocked to see the man whose nose he cut off among Fjolnir's men, but the man does not recognize him. Amleth prepares for his mission to avenge his father and reclaim justice, and he learns from her that his father, mother, and kingdom were stolen from him, and his kingdom. She tells him a little about herself and what she can endure. We come to Fjolnir, who is with his young son, Gunnar, cutting wood together. Gunnar is enthusiastic about becoming a king when he grows up, but Fjolnir tells him that time is uncertain and that at any moment he could become a slave instead of a king. He must be prepared for all possibilities. At the same time, Surrir is facing a group of guards with a sword. He is very weak in the confrontation, and Fjolnir sees this and becomes upset because of it. Amleth and the group with him arrive at Fjolnir's place, and he comes to choose among them, but he sees none of them as suitable for him and asks for them to be sent back elsewhere. Amleth causes a problem with the person next to him to make Fjolnir notice him and recognize his strength. Indeed, Fjolnir likes Amleth's personality and agrees for him to join them, becoming one of their servants. Surrir continues to mock him in front of everyone, and Fjolnir accepts him. Afterward, they select some of the women because Mari needs them, and Olga is among them. At night, Amleth sits looking at the whole place. One of the slaves thinks of escaping, but Amleth warns him not to, as he will die. Amleth sneaks out unnoticed and tries to steal a knife, but fails. He overhears his mother driving dogs away from her place, and Amleth becomes very upset when he sees her, vowing to rescue her and avenge his father. The next day, Amleth works with the slaves, completing all the tasks quickly. When he finds an opportunity, he sneaks into the kitchen to see his mother. He is shocked to see her with someone and leaves. Upset, Olga notices him and goes out to talk to him, asking if he found the person he was looking for. He tells her he did, but he is surprised by something unexpected. The guards see Olga and order her back to the kitchen. At night, Amleth sneaks out unnoticed and walks until he stands before a specific cave. He enters, feeling something inside, and indeed finds a secret waiting for him. He is shocked that the sorcerer knows him and who his father is. The sorcerer tells him that the spirit of Hymir revealed him. He learns that Fjolnir brutally killed Hymir and destroyed him. However, the sorcerer managed to collect Hymir's remains and kept his head. He assures Amleth that he will avenge Hymir and himself against Fjolnir. The sorcerer summons Hymir's spirit into his body to speak to Amleth and tell him the location of the sword. He explains that the sword is made of the finest iron, describes its shape, and gives its location. After Hymir's spirit vanishes, the sorcerer returns to his normal state and tells Amleth that the battle between him and Fjolnir will happen at the gates of hell, with fire blazing. The sorcerer guides Amleth to the sword's location, warning him to be cautious. Amleth goes to the hill the sorcerer mentioned and enters it. He finds the sword within a statue. When Amleth tries to take the sword, the statue suddenly transforms into a man and begins to fight Amleth. The warrior is very strong, and every time Amleth touches him, he falls to the ground. Eventually, Amleth manages to knock the shield from the warrior's hand and defeats him, taking the sword and cutting off his head. Amleth is then surprised to realize it was all an illusion. He easily takes the sword from the statue and leaves. he buries the sword in a secret location so no one can find it until the time comes when he needs it. Meanwhile, he overhears Surya's friends nearby, drunk, and learns that Fjolnir has imprisoned Olga under guard to prevent her escape. Amleth finishes burying the sword in a hidden place. Later, Amleth and Olga meet and discuss the events of the previous night. Olga learns that Amleth plans to kill Fjolnir and rescue his mother, who only stays with Fjolnir for Gunnar's sake. Fjolnir, his wife, children, and a group of guards go to play a violent game. Surya offers Amleth to join them, and he agrees. They all go to the game's location, which involves fierce combat between teams. Amleth is reluctant to participate, and Surya is upset because his team is losing, with one member eliminated in each round. Amleth eventually fights someone from the opposing team, and they exchange brutal blows. Meanwhile, Gunnar enters the field, and the crowd shouts as someone from the opposing team knocks him unconscious and is about to kill him. At the last moment, Amleth intervenes and saves Gunnar. Fjolnir and Mari rush to Gunnar to check on him and revive him. That night, they hold a grand celebration for the victory and thank Amleth for saving Gunnar. Not only that, but Amleth is appointed as the head of the household, giving orders for work. Surya offers Amleth the chance to choose a woman from the slaves to marry, though they cannot grant him freedom. Amleth agrees and chooses Olga as his wife. The following day, after work, Amleth sees Fjolnir performing strange rituals. At night, when everyone is asleep, Amleth attacks Surya's friends, killing them all and cutting off their heads. The next day, everyone wakes to Surya screaming at the sight of his friends' mutilated bodies. Surya demands to know who did this and vows revenge. Fjolnir tries to calm him, assuring him they will find the culprit soon. An old woman examines the corpses and declares that the act was committed by a being not of their world, a dark spirit that will return to claim new victims. She insists they must choose someone to follow to stop the spirit. At night, they capture a slave girl for a ritual to appease the dark spirit. However, the dogs begin howling eerily, and everyone rushes out to investigate. Meanwhile, Amleth saves the girl and hangs the old sorceress and her assistant. Mari claims that the dark spirit has chosen its targets, but Fjolnir disagrees, insisting someone among them is responsible. The next day, Fjolnir gathers all the slaves, arming them alongside the guards. At night, Olga distributes food to the guards, and Amleth waits for what will happen. The guards start acting strangely, hallucinating, and killing each other without reason. Amleth goes to the place where Mary is and walks, anxious, and agrees with her on the time and place to meet. He enters her room and finds his father's ring, so he takes it. But Mary enters the room, and Amleth appears in front of her, placing a sword to her neck. He reveals to her that he is her son, who had fled long ago and has now returned to claim his father's rights. Amleth is shocked to learn that Mary had conspired with Fjolnir regarding everything that happened in the past because she viewed Orvandil as a tyrant. She begs Amleth, if he kills Fjolnir, not to tell anyone that she is his mother and to marry her so she can remain queen. Amleth strikes her because he cannot bear her words, then leaves. Amleth heads to the place where Sigrid's heart is and retrieves it. Knowing that Mary will expose everything, he decides to flee. He learns everything Mary told him and desires to kill her as well. He plans with Olga to escape, and the next day they will flee separately to avoid suspicion. She agrees. The following day, it is revealed what happened. Fjolnir is devastated by Sigrid's death and screams, wanting to know where his son's heart is to bury it with him. Mary tells him everything that happened the previous day and insists that he must find and kill Amleth, because if he does not, Amleth will kill them all one by one. Seeking to uncover who is aiding Amleth, Fjolnir gathers his slaves and starts killing them until it is Olga's turn. At that moment, Amleth appears and demands that Fjolnir release Olga in exchange for Sigrid's heart, revealing his identity to everyone. The crowd attacks Amleth, and Olga takes advantage of the chaos to escape. Any guard who approaches Amleth is brutally killed until he ensures that Olga has escaped. Then, he allows Fjolnir's guards to beat him until he loses consciousness. He is taken to a hut and hung there. Fjolnir refuses to kill him until he reveals the location of Sigrid's heart, but Amleth refuses, wanting to die in battle. Fjolnir and his guards leave, and Amleth's condition worsens. A group of ravens arrives, pecking at the rope until it breaks, and Amleth falls to the ground. That night, Sigrid's funeral ceremony takes place, and everyone is deeply saddened. Fjolnir declares it is time to kill the person responsible for his son's death. However, when he enters the hut, he is shocked to find only ravens, which attack him and his men. The next day, it is revealed that Olga saved Amleth and helped him escape. She continues treating his wounds to improve his condition. Amleth confides in her that he no longer wishes to continue his quest for revenge, and instead wants to leave with her to live their lives. Olga agrees, assuring him she will stand by him in any situation. Amleth tells her about a specific location where they can live peacefully, but to get there they need to board a ship. He assures her he will handle the matter. The next day, they board a ship that will take them to their destination, claiming to the captain that they are under Fjolnir's orders. As they set sail, component placement Amleth notices a wound on Olga's neck. When he touches her blood, as he did with his father, he realizes that Olga is pregnant with twins. Olga tells him she already knew about the pregnancy, but was waiting to confirm their safety. At that moment, Amleth decides to change his mind and return to confront Fjolnir, because if Fjolnir remains alive, he will kill their children, endangering their lives. He asks Olga to continue her journey alone and stay with his relatives until he returns. Olga is deeply saddened, fearing for his life as he might not return. She tries to convince him to change his mind but fails. Amleth gives his ring to the ship's captain, asking him to ensure Olga reaches her destination safely, promising greater rewards upon arrival. As Olga tries to follow him, the captain prevents her. Amleth jumps into the water, leaving Olga clutching his necklace and crying over their separation. Amleth returns to Fjolnir's domain, killing any guard he encounters mercilessly. He confronts the man who had cut off his nose, who tries to hide but fails. Amleth kills him brutally. Fjolnir instructs Mary to take care of Gunnar while he fights Amleth. Amleth reaches the women's quarters, kills all the guards, and frees them. He confronts Mary and Gunnar, killing them both. When Fjolnir finds their bodies, he is devastated and determined to kill Amleth at any cost. He takes his wife and son's bodies to bury them and agrees with Amleth to meet at the gates of hell for their final battle. They both head to the gates of hell for their confrontation, which turns out to be extremely intense, with flames surrounding them as the sorcerer had predicted. Both sustain severe injuries. Amleth falls to the ground, and Fjolnir prepares to stab him with his sword. Suddenly, Amleth rises with fury and confronts Fjolnir. They both kill each other simultaneously. Fjolnir stabs Amleth in the heart, while Amleth beheads Fjolnir. As Amleth dies, he envisions Olga with their twins, assuring him they are safe. Amleth dies content, knowing he has avenged his father. And this marks the end of our film today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and activate the notification bell to stay updated with all our new content.